She was planning on joining, and within 10 minutes ago, she had an emergency, so I don't know if she'll be able to peek in or not.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining for another fun episode of the West End Visitation Park Development Review Committee. We only have one item on the agenda tonight. It's an LRA application to purchase an LRA, some LRA lots by a resident of the neighborhood. Real quick before we get started on the presentation on that, I just wanted to mention, and we might speak about this more afterwards, but you all are probably aware that there are many projects being proposed for in the neighborhood, and we are tracking those. We were originally going to have one more project on the agenda tonight, but weren't able to get all of their materials in time for that. So we are tracking those. We are asking that they present to the Development Review Committee. It's likely that next month's committee meeting might be quite a few agenda items. So make sure you mark that on your calendars because we'll likely have quite a few projects to look at. So without further ado, we have with us tonight Miss Alma Brown, who lives on Vernon Avenue in the neighborhood and is asking for a letter of support from the committee to purchase some side lots next to her property at 5637 and 5643 Vernon Avenue. Next slide, please. The proposal is to build a detached garage on the site. This is a picture that that was provided to us. I believe there are no exact plans or renderings of the garage, is my understanding, but this is sort of the ideal on what she would like to construct there. So it gives us sort of a good idea on scale and size of the project. Next slide, please. So to get us all oriented, this is the location of the lots, sort of smack dab in the middle of the neighborhood. I actually not. This is not correct.
Oh.
It is on the east side of the Greenway, I believe, on Vernon. So sort of
We'll update it
little
for
bit
the
over.
record for the final one. I'm so sorry. I
But
didn't
close to that area right there.
I'm sorry.
Next slide, please. So we will give Ms. Brown a little bit of an opportunity to talk about her project and to introduce herself, but her mailing address and where she lives is 5647 Vernon, and no experience building a garage, but you know, she has bought and rehabbed property before. So here's some of the information that was provided to us. Total development cost to build a detached garage about $35,000, which I would concur is a fairly appropriate budget for a project like this. And construction start within 30 days of acquiring the lots. Completion 45 to 60 days after start of the project. It's an ambitious time schedule, potentially doable though. Yep, go ahead. So here's a cut from, I guess, the assessor's website of the property. So you can see 5647 to the left of the blue marker there is the property that she owns, and then 5643 and 5637 are the properties that she would like to acquire from LRA, which are currently vacant lots. Here are some photos of the property in question. Vacant. And here is an example floor plan of what that garage may look like. I would expect it to be maybe not quite exactly this, but something very, very similar. One thing to note that we don't have a direct drawing of is we asked where the garage would like to be situated on the site and whether the driveway would be going towards the street or towards the alley. And we were told, yes, towards the middle of back of the site with the garage doors facing the street and the driveway and the curb cut coming out onto Vernon Avenue. So with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown to introduce herself, talk a little bit about how long she's been in the neighborhood and about her project.
Thank you so much, Jake, and thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to present my proposal to build the 3-car garage and also a privacy fence to extend to my property at 5647 Vernon. I've been in the neighborhood since last year, actually last June. However, this property at Vernon was acquired probably a year prior. So I think in 2020 is when the property was acquired. As mentioned in the presentation by Jake, I do not have any experience with building on any vacant land. However, I have overseen 4 rehabs. One property in particular was just around the corner on Bartmer, the 3600 block of Bartmer. That property was purchased in 2019 and it was sold in 2020. Again, been a resident since last year, and yeah, I'm loving the neighborhood. I'm loving the many developments that's taking place and has yet to take place. And I would really love you guys' support in the purchase of these 2 lots.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Brown. I got a question. I don't suppose you have a video camera, do you?
You know what? I do, but I'm not sure why it's not coming on. I don't
Okay.
know.
Technical difficulties.
Yes, technical difficulties.
Okay. All right. Well, I will open it up to the committee. I guess I just want to confirm, could you actually are you able to pull up Google Maps real quick, Monique or Raina? I don't know who's driving here, of just these lots that we could look at.
Yeah, I'll pull that up.
Thank you. So Ms. Brown, could you confirm sort of what I had said about sort of placement of where you want this garage on the sites and sort of driveway, how you envision that sort of looking for this project?
Oh, yes, I can do to the best of my ability. Jake, I did forward you I guess a diagram and how I want the garage to be positioned. It looks like it was left out of the slides, which is okay. So again, the garage will face Vernon. The entryway to the garage will be off the street of Vernon. Of course, I guess the driveway will be a curvature from the street onto the actual land, if that makes sense.
Now, for a 3-car garage, that's pretty
not,
wide, obviously. So are you anticipating having sort of like a square pad in front of the garage and then it narrows to the street?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Other side of the house.
But yeah, it's the other side.
There we go. Okay, and then in terms of where you want to put the actual garage on the site, would it be sort of in the back of the lot and the front of the lot, middle?
It
How do
would
you?
be towards the middle of the lot because I will want the driveway to be on the actual property. So the driveway will start, I would say the middle of the lot and then extend onto the street. If that helps you guys with a visual.
Okay. And I know one more question before I open it up to the rest of the committee because I know it'll be asked, but we've reviewed many projects in the past that have had garages proposed, and one thing that we always try to ask the developer is either one, if they're building a house as well, put the garage either behind the house so it's less visible, or have access from or have the doors face the alley, or even have the driveway be accessed from the alley. So is there any reason why you would prefer not to do that?
Well, I would prefer not to enter the garage from the alley, just I guess safety reasons. I would say the houses across the street from my house, their garages are facing the street. However, theirs do sit back a little bit. So if it was if it would be okay, I can place the garage like further back on the property and just have a longer driveway.
Okay. I will open it up to anyone who wants to ask a question.
Do you own the lot on the other side of your house?
I do.
Looking at the just the property records, it appears that something Keys is listed as the owner. Is that a company you're affiliated with?
That is my previous business partner. So yes.
Got it. There seems to be quite a bit of space behind the house currently, as well as the addition of the other side lot that you already currently own. Is there a reason why you're choosing to purchase these two as opposed to just building on the lots that you already have?
So on the side of the house and also in the back of the house, I do have plans in regards to developing that. I do want to put a patio in the back and also extend my actual so I want to put a patio and also extend my my porch or patio as well. So all of that is going to be accounted for with the development I plan to do in my at the back of my house.
Miss Brown, this is Terry Stearns. I was looking at your home, and you have asphalt drive on one side, and in the
Correct.
back. Do you plan to lay concrete on the other side, or how?
On the other side where the garage is going to be?
Yes, where you plan for that? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On that side that you're planning, I don't know if I heard you're trying to acquire this property from LRA?
That's correct.
Okay, and have you also asked the city for the ability to access from Vernon with curb access?
I have not. Per the LRA guidelines, they instructed me to go this route. I had to complete the application, submit the proposal, and so I haven't gotten to that point as of yet.
Okay, that has been an issue with some of our neighbors in the past. So
Okay.
I was wondering about that. And also the alley that is behind your home
Mm-hmm.
is, there's a lot of foliage there. And it backs into some homes that have been rehabbed on the other street on Maple.
Uh-huh.
And have you talked to those homeowners with regard to how your garage will sit on that property?
I've actually spoken with Rodney Norman,
Yes?
Anita Norman. I expressed to them, my plans to develop on the property, and they were okay with the development.
Oh, yeah, of course, I'm sure they are because
Mhm.
that that would add to the essence of what they're trying to do in the area.
Oh, yes, they are
How's,
doing amazing things. And, they're actually one of my inspirations and wanting to develop on that,
yeah.
on this land.
I just happened to notice that the access from the alley in that area is so narrow because of all of the foliage, and you just stated that you might be willing to move even further back on the lot. Is that
Well, so the entry or the access will still be from Vernon, but I can push the actual garage back on the land so it won't be towards the front, It won't look like it's a house next to my actual property. It would just be pushed back. Again, across the street, the houses that line the street on Vernon, their garages are on the side of their house, but it's kind of pushed back. But you can still see it from Vernon.
absolutely? The only caveat I have to that is when you push further back, because I happen to have a piece of property that has access from the street that is pretty far back on the lot. And in the wintertime with ice and snow, it gets a little complicated to have a detached garage back there. So if you change your mind, will you please let us know that you might be doing something different?
Sure, absolutely.
Would that be continue to always be detached, or do you plan to put a breezeway there or something?
You know what? That's a good question. Because ultimately, it will be better to have a attached garage. However, I don't know how what will all needs to go into that development. But potentially, yeah. But for now, it would just be detached for now.
Okay. I say that to you because several, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when I built my garage for my private home, it became an issue, and my neighbors did not allow me to do that for several reasons. So I'm just mentioning that to you. I think it would be beautiful if you could do that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
The house was originally a two-family. Are you living in it as a two-family or is it a single-family house?
This is actually one of the properties in which I oversaw the full rehab. So this property was purchased back in 2019, and when purchased, it was already converted to a single family. So we just went ahead and just rehabbed it. So it's a single family home.
What materials are you planning on using for the exterior of the garage?
It's going to be vinyl siding. As far as all the details, I'm leaving it up to my contractor. My contractor is actually my father-in-law, so he's the expert. But I do want vinyl siding. It's going to be a 3-car garage, single bill with off-street or offset facade and hip roof. Um, I just wanted to look a little fancier.
Ms. Brown, when you say vinyl siding, is that, and maybe Jay can help me on this because I don't know all the materials, but is that anything like a hardy board?
No.
So so this the in the picture, that's vinyl siding there.
It's what's on the side of these homes over here.
Oh, okay, I see now.
And if
Okay.
you can, Jake, I'm not sure who's navigating. Is it Monique?
It's me.
Okay, if you can maybe move the camera so you can see the garage, how it sits back, so you guys can have a visual. So this right across the street, their garage is like towards the back, and they have a long driveway. So if it's more acceptable to have the garage sit towards the back of the property and just have a longer driveway, I can do that as well.
I think, although, you know, obviously there's a precedent on this part of the neighborhood, right? Which, you know, I think we would definitely respect. One of the goals of this committee in the past is to try and keep the character of the neighborhood, make it continue to feel like an, you know, a little bit more urban neighborhood as opposed
Mhm.
to suburban neighborhood.
Okay.
So I'm curious, which is sort of why we're asking all these questions on sort of placement of the garage and which way it's facing, and you know, all that fun stuff. So um, I'm curious, would you consider, say, if it did get put back towards the back of the lot, um, to have it sort of tucked away behind your house, or is that a no-go with your current, like, half, like part of it tucked back and some of it over here, or is that a no-go from what you want to do?
So let me ask you this, Jake. So if we were to push the garage back where you have your cursor,
Hmm.
um, are you thinking that the access point will be off the alley or still from Vernon?
I think you could have it off Vernon still. It just sort of similar to how these are here, where
Uh-huh.
where they have sort of the driveway back and then the
Okay.
garage is sort of half tucked behind the house, you know.
Got you. Okay. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. That's something to consider. I don't think that would be a bad idea.
I'm just spitballing here too. Another potential option, you know, maybe have it rotated so that, I don't know if there'd be enough space, but have it so that the doors open to the side so you wouldn't see them from the street and you could just have your concrete pad and then a driveway. Um, or even flip it and have it an L, but that would probably be more concrete. I'm just spitballing on people have generally, and I'll put myself into this category. You know, if there's ways to avoid seeing a garage door from the street, or at least less of a garage door, because a 3-car garage is a big garage.
Hmm.
There's no way around that.
Now, I
Just
do plan to also build a privacy fence around the garage as well. So, just as across the street was pictured, they have a privacy fence or a fence, and then it opens up to that pathway to the garage.
something like this with a
Yeah,
gate.
yeah. But I'm
Oh,
thinking more so of a fence, so you won't be able to see through.
oh, okay,
Hmm.
okay.
That was a question I had, is what type of fencing do you want to put? A wooden fence or metal fence or what?
I would like a wooden fence, but that's electronic, is electrical powered, so it will open with a remote.
I started with a wooden fence, Miss Brown, and then I changed to a water iron fence.
Hmm.
And I did something similar to what Jake was talking about, put the 3-car garage pretty much behind my house. How the wooden fence presented privacy issues, and if you're worried about safety.
The wooden fence prevented privacy issues.
No, you have privacy, but
Right, right.
it's a little bit difficult if your neighbors want to make sure that they can peek in on you for safety reasons, or your accesses, because your garage is so far back from your house.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
But
Um,
that was a good thought to come down the drive and then turn into your garage is it's mostly tucked behind your house because you do you have room behind your house? It looks as if you do.
For a garage, I will say no. I will say no. From the patio to the gate or to the alley, it's not as big of a space for the 3-car garage in which I'm planning to build.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then also with my plans to extend the patio back there, yeah, it definitely wouldn't be enough space to put it directly behind the house.
Is your garage going to be 1-story or 2-story?
It's just going to be a single story.
And so will you have plumbing and electrical in the garage?
It will be electrical, no plumbing.
Do you anticipate removing some of the asphalt around the house, like the driveway on the other side and in the backyard?
That is my plan for sure. The trees from the, I guess, from the, what is this? The trail, the roots are growing underneath the asphalt and it's causing the asphalt to buckle and it's so many lumps and things there. So yes, I do plan to remove some of that.
I guess my only other hesitation that I somewhat have is, you know, the fact that we're taking 4 lots and essentially combining it all to serve one single family house. That's a lot of space, and obviously if you buy it, you're entitled to that space. No issues there. But would you have any potential plans to build build or sell off one of these other lots in the future, do you think?
To sell off, no. To build in the future, possibly.
Because if you build a 3-car garage and put it smack dab in the middle of the lots, it limits, obviously what you could tear it down, but you prefer not to. It limits what you can build easily in the future is just my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Going once, going twice. Sold. All right. Well, Ms. Brown, we appreciate very, very much that you were able to join us this evening. Thank you for presenting to the committee. We'll let you go. We'll talk about it for a little bit, and then, like I said before the meeting started, we'll reach back out to you and let you know any other questions or comments that we have, and we can keep you moving forward.
All right, sounds good, Jake. And thank you guys for again allowing me to present my proposal. And I hope you guys do support my plan. I thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Can I say something real quick? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Tyrone.
No, I was just gonna say that if she can like color wise or color match her house, it would be nice because the house that just doesn't look like it matches the actual primary residence. I mean, a garage that does not look like it matches the primary residence is kind of weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially just sitting squarely in a lot, it looks like almost more of a warehouse versus just matching the house. To me, that's just a thought. So it's just a thought. I know you can. I know it's more expensive to build them like they were, but just to give some of the impression that it's similar to that.
Yeah.
So that was my only comment.
That's a good point because I ran into that with my neighbors. I ended up bricking all four sides of my garage to make sure that it matched the house. But it was expensive, and that was way before the prices that we have today.
Right.
Yeah, I also think it has to do with where she ends up putting it on the site. I mean, obviously, there's precedent right across the street for, you know, vinyl, as much as I know we don't like that. But
Yeah.
it's not in a completely, you know, intact historic part of the neighborhood, this street. So
Mhm.
it wouldn't be totally out of the blue.
How big are those lots she buying, Jake? How big are those lots?
So one is the one, there's two lots. The one right next to her house is, I think, 33 wide, and then a 50-foot lot next. So about 80, 85 feet in width
Mm.
total.
Plus, he has a lot on the other side also, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the lot on the other side is also a 33-foot
Mm.
lot.
Mm.
So it's quite a conglomerate of property that she would potentially be
Mm.
owning right here for
Mhm.
essentially a house and a garage.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. That's an awful lot of property for that one house. You know, if they're not going to build anything else but a garage, that's a bit much.
Yeah. Um, I sort of have that same sentiment too. And then on the other hand, we have someone who's already invested in rehabbing a historic house in the neighborhood and is planning on hopefully building out some more. So,
Mm.
you know, I I hate to deny someone because
Yeah.
of what they've already put into the neighborhood, but it does feel excessive to me
Well,
personally.
a couple years ago, this house was up for tax auction, so they may have, I don't know, I don't think that ever went to the actual tax auction, but so it may have been passed on through family or something. But I know that it was on the list a couple years ago.
Interesting. Um, I mean, for me, I think it's going to come down to placement. Ultimately, I and she said she had shared something. I mean, what she had shared was essentially that picture with two lines coming down on it for the driveway. So, not really too helpful in determining where it might be on the site, but it sounded like she was open to sort of our feedback on where might be a more acceptable placement or orientation on the site. So, um, perhaps that's something that we could go back to her with saying, hey, in concept, we think this could work. What are your thoughts? Or if enough people feel like it's just good to go right now, then or not, then we can vote that way too. Any other thoughts?
There's some agreement in the chat
Oh,
about
chat.
there's agreement in the chat about yes, that the property is that maybe one lot in addition to the property she has because of the reasons you shared about it being and feeling excessive. Seems like Justin also agrees as well.
Yeah.
I think we have a situation where there's going to be a garage going up for the Normans on Maple right behind this property. They may not be putting it there now, but there's a plan, and their plan is to come initially from the alley side behind her to their property, but I think they have not totally made a decision, but I think they're trying to come from the street on on Maple. So, and they have a lot that's similar size. Am I right? To that home there on Maple? To what's
I think
east of her home?
This right here.
Yes.
I mean, I'm unfamiliar with the specifics of their plan, but you're saying that,
No, I'm not totally familiar with the specifics. I'm looking at it.
yeah,
I do know that they did request for street access, and I'm looking at the size of the lot next to there is similar to the size of her lot. Am I correct?
Mhm.
Just from a visual?
yeah, it looks to be comparable.
I think I would tend to uh, she's willing to work with everyone, see what her final plan is. But I think that they'll do a good job.
I think that is, Terry, to your point, I think that's correct what the Normans are trying to do with that house. I think they're coming from, they applied for a permit for the driveway from the street curb cut. And it seems very similar to what they're doing across the street. That would be my inclination as well to, she really seems agreeable to working with people. And if she was able to get one of those lots, there's a chance that maybe somebody, well, we would, I guess, look that over, who would get the next lot to it. But they've invested heavily, I guess, into this house they're living in. Is that right? They got at the tax sale for $1 or something, so they've invested to make it their home.
It had been rehabbed before it went to the tax auction. I mean,
Oh, okay.
the glass block windows had been put in for the other door and stuff like that.
Okay.
I did have an opportunity to see it for possible purchase before it sold, and there's quite a bit of it was rehabbed before they acquired it.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
essentially, LRA is going to ask for, in addition to our letter of support, they're going to ask her for, a plan of what she wants to do for the lot. So, I think if we're feeling like it's a yes, but we want to make a suggestion on sort of location or placement, then I think the time is going to have to be now. Otherwise, we might not have another opportunity.
Is she required? I forget. Is she required to have like a plan or a drawing of what she wants to do for us to make a decision?
For a side lot, yes.
Yes. Hi, everybody. This is Maya.
Hi, Maya.
Hi, Maya. So she needs an actual drawing or site plan that will be submitted to LRA.
She does.
Okay. So yeah, I think the time to sort of influence that, if we have suggestions, is now. So I guess question one, are people generally okay with it? And then two, are there suggestions we'd like to make, whether it be one towards the back of the site or, tucked behind the house or whatnot that we would like to see?
I would like to say this in review of what I can remember from the property. All of that back behind her house is asphalt, and it's not very much room. I think she's correct in that she doesn't have enough room for a 3-car garage back there, and she's got to tear out what I would consider a disproportionate amount of asphalt back there. So I'm thinking that her original thought may be to come to the middle of that lot that she wants on this side. And I agree with her. I like the idea. I would go along with it. I'd like to see the plans, but we have other projects going on that I would totally disagree with, and I don't want to get too detailed with this one.
So Terry, you're okay with sort of wherever she wants to put it, that's okay.
Yes. I think she'll make the good decision, and I think she'll bring it back to us.
Okay. Other thoughts?
See some comments in the chat. I think people agreeing that, like Tyrone mentioned, it's hard unless we see it. So the need to actually see the plan. Justin mentioned that if it's a two-car garage, that seems more reasonable because he's not exactly sure how she can justify a three-car garage given the size of house.
Are there controls that it won't become a car repair place?
I think she would need a zoning.
I was just gonna ask if you all
Zoning
had
change
checked
for that.
any, right, that would be a zoning change, and if you had the square footage of the building. I know you sent out that sheet. I'm not looking at it right now though, so just wondering on that aspect because that's gonna potentially be a zoning issue. It's gonna have to go under some kind of a hearing to do the changes if, you know, it's within a certain size.
I think it'd probably be around 36 by 24, if not maybe a little bit larger for that, whatever that comes out to be math wise.
Hey, ladies and
If
gentlemen.
if you do have to undergo any changes as far as zoning, then they'll let you know on that end for sure.
Yeah.
Or I can let you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got a question for future reference for people that want to build three-car garages and thinking about the historic factor in our neighborhood. Can we require them to become carriage houses? If you're gonna make it like the carriage house design, because that's the only thing that I know that we may have that's even big enough in some people's backyards. And it's just for future reference. I'm not particularly for this one because this is the first design I've seen that anybody has brought to us that they want to put a three-car garage. So,
I mean, I don't think we can require them to make it a three-car garage. I know that our alderwoman introduced legislation to allow for that to be possible, which I think is great. Any other thoughts? I mean, so I mean, my personal thoughts, if there was a garage just centered in the middle of the lot with 3 garage doors looking out, seems painful to the urbanist in me. I probably would prefer to see something, if I can figure out. Oh, I'm drawing on Zoom now. There's so many different ways to draw. All right, hold on. Gotta figure this out. How do I get out of annotation mode? There we go. If it was something either, say the lot was, or it was in the middle, that the doors open on this side and that there was a driveway with a lot to the side so that you wouldn't see the garage doors, or if it was even, you know, flipped and opened on the side and then you had a driveway out onto the street like that. That seems at least a little more urban to me. If ever so little.
Jay, could she do a L shape and put most of the garage behind the house, like 2-car behind the house, and come
It
around, or does I don't
it's
know.
gonna depend on the parcel. It's gonna depend on the parcel and what the setbacks are for that individual parcel. I did drop a link into the chat for the GOSTL tool. We have another tool that we're learning to use now, but I don't have access to it at this point. So if Jake and I want to get together at some point and take a look at that for, before you all fully submit to LRA, then we can do that. But that just depends on the individual parcel.
I mean, Terry, based off of I would need to know some more exact measurements, but are you saying like if the garage was here and there's a driveway like here?
No, the other way around. You would come from the driveway alongside her house, and you could turn to the left and go into 2-car garage, or come over a little bit to the, yeah. I've seen it. I think I saw it done in Chesterville or somewhere. They had an L-shaped situation where the 3rd-car garage was actually off in an L. I think it's on Ladue Road.
I mean, essentially with that, you're left with an entire corner that's sort of unparkable. So you'd have to have two, and one, unless you sort of drove in that way, which seems to be even larger probably than what she's talking about now.
Okay. It was just a thought.
No, good questions. Need some more feedback, folks. What are we thinking?
You have mine.
I got Terry's. Who else?
Tyrone suggested tabling it until we got more feedback, or her plans, or at least a conceptual drawing. Is that feasible?
I think if we table it without giving her a suggestion on anything we want to see, she's just going to come back with this.
Okay.
With the driveway. So
what about to Terry's point a little bit, that L shape, if there's a way to make that work, or is there room, like, I don't know if anybody has seen, she referred to the Norman's house a little while ago, and they have their doors don't face the street. Do they have enough space on that to do something
They just
similar?
need 5 feet. That's all I believe that is necessary.
Okay.
5 feet from the alley or the street.
She seemed to like what the Normans had. Yeah, this is what they're working on now.
I don't know exactly what you're referring to.
They're the actual house they live in across the street from those projects you're looking at.
Oh, gotcha.
That with they're right there.
Oh, got it. You're talking about how they did that build out in the backyard where they are at the Normans. I've seen that structure. I've seen that structure. They could do something similar to that. Somebody would just have to go out and take those measurements to see, what that setback is.
You're talking about this garage right here, Guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And I know she wanted a patio back there too. It seems like she might have room for a patio on the other side too, where the old driveway is, possibly.
So we're thinking about if, say, the garage was here-ish, and then I assume she would still probably want the driveway out to Vernon, but the driveway would then, come out that way, and the garage would open this way.
Yes. I mean, that's just that's what they have across the street, and I thought I said she seemed to like that. But she was looking for 3 cars though too.
Yeah. I mean,
And room for
If she moves some of that tree line out, won't she have room for 3 cars?
potentially. I mean, I think if she says she wants to build a patio and stuff, which if she does, then there's not going to be room behind her house for a 3-car garage. But potentially, the nice thing about this option is the building itself would only be on the 33-foot wide lot, which would leave this lot open potentially in the future. If she wanted to build on it, she could also theoretically change it so that maybe she could come in from this side in the future too. It to me, it leaves more flexibility for the future, and it eliminates the garage doors facing the street.
And I would like to ask if she had thought about adding some brick to her project, so that from the street side we would see something that would be comparable to her house.
And the nice thing about that is only that wall that faces the street right now would be a relatively small portion.
Yes.
And she could even put a window in it, make it less brick too.
So we're talking about making this side brick right here.
I remember in some of our other talks with, I think it may have been Vatterott, we talked about adding brick to some of their projects, and I'm thinking that we might suggest that.
Is that a requirement that you all feel like you want to include in this process, is making sure that the structure stays with the integrity of the already standing structure if a new one is added?
That's a good point, Maya, because earlier we said that there's a precedent in the neighborhood that has vinyl, but maybe the fact that on the other side of the street is not the newer houses, and so it's something to consider is do we want to do the precedent of the entire street, or just the houses that are on one side that are older and go by what the house itself is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would love it if it was all brick. I know that could add quite a large chunk of change to this project, making it a $30,000 project to a $50,000 project or something. So,
if that's the requirement, that it needs to stay within that aesthetic appearance, then it is something that can be advocated for with LRA as terms of their agreement. If you decide to accept as a neighborhood, then that can be something that is written into that acceptance, is that accepted with the terms that a brick structure must be applied, or whatever, faux brick or whatever, to maintain the general aesthetic. And that can be something that you all determine to do, or do by a case basis, depending on what that original structure is. But it is an option for you. I just wanted to make sure you all are aware and able to exercise that option.
Well, the fact that the houses across the street just have the brick on the front and not on the back set the precedent for this block. And I think that it would be possible to ask for brick on what faces the street, but it would be hard to push her for bricking the whole structure.
Absolutely. I think that's reasonable, if that's the precedent for the rest of the street, just to maintain it. And as you all get these proposals, you go street by street, structure by structure, and make some wrap around there. And I think that's solid just the same.
I think that's reasonable. I spent 3 years, I did not brick all at once. The garage was finished and I bricked as I could afford to, till I did it on all 4 sides.
Yeah. Okay, well, how are we feeling about my scribbles on screen here?
I
like
love
it.
your drawing, Jake.
Very confident.
Very nice artwork.
This
He's
is
so willing
this is
to-
how I architect every day.
Nice. That is good.
So,
Much better than
but
mine.
then also, how is she going to fence the yard? That is part of the issue. She wanted the mechanical gates, and would it be down by the front of the house, or with the wooden fence on each side, or that would also be part of the discussion?
I mean, I
Towards the back. Like where you got the marker right now, roughly there. Just out of the way so they can open.
so currently, currently this is fenced in along the back here. Ooh, look, I learned how to do straight lines. Like
I'm
this,
assuming the fence that
I believe, and that was an old street view from there. I believe this is how it is currently. So, you know, she could theoretically, depending on how close she wants it, do something here, a gate across a driveway, and then fence it in like that. Or it could be closer to the front of the house. I'm not
You're
sure.
gonna have full construction plans in a second, Joe.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's put this in for permit. I'm gonna send this to her and a bill. I don't know if this committee should be weighing in too heavily on.
I was gonna say we're
fencing.
might be setting a precedent because this is new for us getting this kind of these requests, but from what Maya has shown me, there are a number of we about to get a ton of these coming at us.
Yeah.
Maya, how many would you say are like potentially in the pipeline right now of potential
Right now,
people?
I think we discussed about 4 projects that developers and people want to do that are more than one lot. So it's something to consider heavily, especially with this plan being in place. What type of development comes in? Because if it fits something that is what you already have in a focus area, then awesome, great. But if it's something way out of the way, we definitely want to catch it before selling people the property to develop and do different things. So it is a new process. I'm learning as well in a lot of different ways. And so, you know, we'll just be in it together. We'll just be in it together. And it is new from LRA, and it is something that they put in place so that neighborhoods get foresight before these new things and changes come in. And so that if there are any standards and steps that committees, associations need to take prior to approving these projects, that they're done ahead of LRA taking someone's bid.
Well, we certainly appreciate LRA and you, Maya, your work in asking that they do come before the committee and neighborhood before the city approve that. That's in itself a sea change from what's happened in the past. So
Absolutely.
it's much appreciated. So
I've been in there breaking my sweat. Y'all can ask Monique. I've been on her line like, hey. So I'm glad to be working with you all. It's truly a pleasure.
Can I clarify if Vatterott and Elamine have come to the committee in the past about what they're getting funded from CDA?
Great question, Gordon. It's been raised multiple times.
So yes, Vatterott has not come to us, or we have not heard from them about their most recent project that they proposed. Yafet has reached out to us. She was originally scheduled to present tonight, but then had a scheduling conflict, so it's likely that she will be presenting next month.
Okay, because I think Vatterott wants to build houses on Vernon as well.
Popular street.
That I think one of their proposals that's getting funded is building housing on Vernon.
That's not going to be a housing development. So the way that that worked and the way that the document came out was extremely confusing, extremely misleading, I feel. They did get an award to do housing production. However, the location on Vernon is out of bounds. It's not on the market. So although they may have initially applied for that space, they are being granted an award, but they have to be relocated to a different space. So that one came out a little bit strange. It was one that did not come up on my radar. Apparently, this is some other situation that they've had ongoing, and now it's being reworked through LRA due to the conversations that we've had around Amarin, etc. And also for anybody who hasn't had updates on Amarin, what we're doing right now with them is trying to seek out different locations that would be viable for the things that they need to do without compromising this neighborhood plan, because it's been brought up more than once that the work has already been done and you all do not want to set the tone of changing things that you've already put, you know, that big work into creating. And so as a result, they're scaling back and looking for an alternative location that won't be the Vernon location. So your Vernon intersection is safe. That's something I definitely want to make sure I let you all know.
Cool. Yeah, now we just need to have Maya work her magic with CDA, and then we'll all be all set.
I'm wiggling my fingers now. I'm doing the thing.
All right, we are a little bit past an hour so far. I want to go ahead and close this out, and then, you know, if anyone wants to discuss anything, but let's go ahead and vote on this. I guess my proposal would be a conditional letter of support after we show her our thoughts on in terms of site placement and getting this front facade bricked, and if that's agreeable to her, then great, we can write a letter of support. Otherwise, maybe we need to have her come back and present with a site plan of what she wants to do and exactly, and then discuss it further. Does that sound okay, or does someone want to put forth a different motion?
Second.
Okay, we have I'm just gonna, before we vote, I want to give our non-voting guests any final say. So Gordon, any thoughts, final thoughts?
I like this recommendation of it that you've drawn out on the here, and that's my. I would like it to be like in this shape rather than across the 3 lots. I mean, across the 2 lots.
Okay, Lisa.
I agree with Gordon.
Trina.
I'm good with it.
All right. All right. I guess all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstain? All right. Well, I will sketch up something a little bit more official looking and get that sent over to her and get feedback and keep everyone in the loop on her response. And then if she's agreeable, I will draft a letter of support with that drawing attached. And if not, then we'll ask her to come back to us with a plan of exactly what she wants to do so that we can consider it.
Hey, Jake, can I give an announcement or make an announcement?
Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, everybody. It's pleasant to see all of y'all. I ain't seen some of y'all in a while, but I'd like to share with you that an organization that I'm a part of, we are bringing the U.S. Department of Energy here to talk about some federal funding that will help the churches, homeowners, developers, nonprofit entities upgrade their HVAC systems from like gas products, boilers. They have funding to help with that. And they're going to be at the Delmar Divine next Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Ms. Marjorie Harris is going to give a presentation about it's an initiative that's attached to the not the Justice for that's attached to the Inflation Reduction Act. In communities like ours, we qualify for the funding. So she's going to give a presentation on what is called the Justice 40 Initiative. And I'd like if you all could come to learn about this federal funding. As you all know, we got these big historical homes. So that's
great.
it. And thank
So
y'all for
you
allowing. Go ahead, Jake.
send that information to Monique or myself, and we can distribute.
All right, I'll send it to both of you all. Thank you.
Thank you to Cabinet District CDC for bringing that to our neighborhood.
No problem, anytime.
It's awesome, Justin.
Thank you. I don't know who said that, but thank you. Oh, that's Maya. My bad. Thank you.
That's little old me.
All right, you all. I don't know if anybody out here driving like me, but it's raining outside. Please be careful.
Absolutely. Any other announcements or thoughts?
I dropped a comment into the chat just saying what my recommendation was going to be that I'm sending over to LRA until Jake, you do your look over and send that back over for further review. So if you just want to take a peek at that, that's going to be what I send over to them tonight.
When is the next LRA meeting?
We have a, give me 1 second. I'll tell you exactly. Next LRA meeting is the 27th, and that's going to be the Board of Commissioners meeting. That's when I come before the commissioners and I present them with all of the agenda items that are from my zone, and I give them the recommendations from the neighborhood organizations. So that comes up on the 27th.
Okay. Well, it is possible. I don't know. I will send something to Ms. Brown tonight. I don't know if she'll respond quickly or not, but I mean, theoretically, it's possible. But if they need to have,
if you don't have it, if you don't have it, I'm just going to put it in as a defer.
Okay.
So it'll go
to great.
The next time, and then if you all need more time to review, then you have that time available to you. But I'll just make sure that I've been in communication with you all, and that I send any communication I do have with you over to LRA so that they know how to move forward with assessing that bid.
And as far as other,
and then,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Maya.
No, you go ahead first, and then I'll throw in that last little tidbit I had.
Okay, I was just responding to when Jake asked, is there any other announcements? These are off, this is off point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you want me to just throw in my little piece?
Yes, you go ahead.
Okay. Only little piece I had left is that if green space is looking to be purchased and anybody wants to develop green space in terms of a garden, a park, anything like that, all of that is that program no longer exists with the city. So any bids on green space to develop green space will not be accepted because we don't have that program right now. I'm actually the person who is rewriting that program for the city. And so once we do finish rewriting the program, I've been working with several other urban gardeners and programs in other cities to look at best practices and ways that we can really sustain urban gardening and farming in St. Louis. And so until we get that pilot program launched, there will be no LRA bids accepted for green space. So unless someone is looking to build a brick and mortar, they will not be put through the process at all. And so I just want to put that into consideration. And then if people do want to develop green space, they should be partnering with Pocket Parks or another park organization who already has the space and can contribute to building up that green space. So we want to reinvest in community garden spaces that already are existing and have standing leases with the city. However, we're transitioning to a program where we have gardeners and farmers who are in a position of ownership. If they don't want to own, we will have options for that. But the way that I'm thinking of it is that those options will go through the neighborhood association. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a future reference for as these LRA bids start coming up and coming towards you all and put into your consideration. Just understand if people want to utilize green space and they have a true passion for it, they're not just trying to do the land grab, then in that case, they would have to work with you all to coordinate what that looks like in collaboration with the green spaces that have already been established in these neighborhoods. So that's my last little spiel.
Okay, Maya, can I just ask, the neighborhood is getting money for the Gwen Giles Park. And before the shutdown, somebody was trying to buy a couple lots on Maple that LRA owns that are adjacent to the park. So what would be the issue of adding those lots to the park as opposed to building houses on those lots?
Gordon, are you saying that it was denied because or
They had put in applications and then LRA shut down accepting any applications for a while. And now they have opened that back up. And I don't know if these people who wanted to buy the lots on Maple have proceeded with trying to buy the lots on Maple after the shutdown. And one of the issues is the neighborhood will have to decide whether they want houses on those LRA lots or want those lots added to the park, since it's adjacent to the park. But how do we follow through with that as to whether they should be added to the park or not?
I think it would go through this process, the DRC process, as just like these have, but that whether they want to be added to the park or not, that might have to be a conversation with the larger community and We Collab and all of that. See how that goes along with the neighborhood plan. But I assume we would have a chance to review that before any decision on the LRA lots are made, if it goes through this process.
And if they're looking to do an extension of the park, at this point, they wouldn't be able to purchase, but they can still participate in that conversation and propose their development. It's not saying that it will never happen. It's saying that it's not happening right now. I'm going to do my very best to make sure that this program is complete, it's clear, and that it's accessible to people who are actually going to be accountable for the work that they say they're going to do, and get that done in a time frame that is reasonable for the next gardening season. I am a gardener myself, and I understand that people are working on a time frame. We have to survey land, because another thing that we've been running into is gardeners are purchasing lots that are not able to fully be gardened on, which means the soil may not be compatible for healthy and appropriate gardening. There may be other inconsistencies with the ability to lay beds down and with the actual surface level that they're dealing with. So we're trying to go through these properties and look at what is reasonable, do the surveys in places where people have gardens and want gardens to make sure they're growing the best things that are, accessible to the community, because there's been no oversight on things that are grown in community gardens. people have been able to grow and just give out whatever. And there's been no way to account for things like pesticides, bug issues, things like that that come along with food and food quality that we haven't really considered, long term, because majority of St. Louis has been disenfranchised and marginalized. So looking into all these things, if they want to purchase the lots and use them for some type of expansion of the park, it's not impossible. It's something we're definitely open to have the conversation about. However, right now we really need to kind of scale back and slow down on how we do that type of development, and then also considering the neighborhoods that we're in and we're dealing with. We have to be very, very honest and look at the fact that a lot of them have faced the type of litter that almost makes parks unusable. When you throw glass into grass, it makes it impossible almost to utilize that space again without digging it all the way up and then going through and then re-soiling or repaving or re-something, the park space. So it's not just about, oh, there's grass here and we should expand this lot space to be part of this place. There's other elements that we have to look at and want to look at as a city to make sure that we're healthy and make sure these neighborhoods that have been excluded are being included in a right way. So if that's a proposal that you all are willing to look at and work with, then take it in, let me know, and then they can come work with me on this green project. Maybe that can be one of our first pilot projects. This neighborhood is one that a lot of things are going to be uh, uh, easy to achieve because your plan has already been accepted by the city. So the more things that you all back and are reasonable for what fits into this plan are the things that are going to happen. You're in the implementation phase. And so that means development is going up. It's occurring. And so if it's something that you all want to consider, let me know. I'll pass it along and then we can look at it. We'll try to do what we can to get the surveys done and everything else, but just understand also part of this process is going to be assessing what land makes sense for each use that you outline. So just take that into, consideration as you all are moving forward with your decision making.
Hey, Maya, can I ask one thing? And this is very short. Can you all, regardless if it's those 4 or 5 lots on Maple or wherever you all are going to be doing this, can you all do environmental studies? And the reason why I ask is because since 1965, we got whole houses underneath that's been buried underneath the ground for the last 50 or 60 years. So when you talk about, I heard you talk about the glass, but the city, and I'm not asking anybody to take any accountability. I would just like some type of environmental study to find out what's on these lots. Because from my understanding, building division, nobody can tell us when some of these houses or apartments or hotels were demolished and have been sitting in the ground. So when you're talking about potentially new garden spaces or new green spaces, if they haven't been properly tested to see what's in the soil, I think we would do a disservice to the children and elders and people in general who may be growing or trying to play on these
Right.
spaces. So that's all I got to say.
I would like
appreciate
to
that,
ditto
Justin.
that, Justin, because I have 4 lots. I have had marginal testing, but the buildings are in the lots. 3 brick buildings are in the ground on these lots. So I ditto what he said, Maya. I think it's very important.
I think it's important as well. I'm also an applicant for the EPA board for the city of St. Louis. So if anybody wants to mail my boss and let him know to recommend me, please do. Because it's something I think is critical in all of our neighborhoods is assessing what the environmental impact is on some of these properties and what trickle down we're receiving from the past. And so I'm a strong advocate for environmental issues. I love plants. I love animals. If anybody ever wants to go on a hike with me, I'm down for it, but I will surely follow up on that, and I will get you all an answer by tomorrow on what kind of environmental studies can be conducted in this particular neighborhood and surrounding that will be a benefit to you all. So if any particulars come up, please send me that message, but just know I'm on it, and I will get you an answer by tomorrow on when we can get that done.
I know we're at time. April had comments. And then I'll put, oh, I think she just shared it in the chat. The Taste of the Greenways, this Saturday from 11 to 2, and National Night Out, second, what is it, 3rd of October?
Third.
October
That
3rd, the
Tuesday.
first Tuesday in October.
Yeah. And then for those who are interested in sharing public comments with CDA on the process, their hearing is tomorrow at 1 p.m. I can send out the Zoom link, is via Zoom.
Monique, I asked Maya for her contact information in the chat.
Oh yeah, Maya. I mean, I can share some of Maya's contact information too when I share that information out to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody can have my information. Monique, you can share my email and my cell phone.
Cool, I got you.
Okay, great. Well, our next scheduled meeting is October 12th. So keep that on your calendars. And if there's not anything else, then I will wish everyone a happy Thursday evening and a good rest of your week and weekend. And we will see you next month.
Thanks,
Bye-bye,
Jake.
everybody.
Thanks,
Jake,
Jake.